but I didn't get that done right. I lost it. So we'll get that to you next week when I can recover it. Meanwhile, I have Sierra Dornfeld. She's an artist with the Painting the Legislature campaign, and she's going to tell you a little bit about what she's doing. We're going to give you a peek at some of the stuff that's on display and up for auction. Go ahead.
Thank you. Painting the Legislature was a February Art Walk exhibit. These were live paintings created during the February Art Walk. What we're doing is we're going to be doing a silent auction with these works, which are sitting to my right, past Cassidy here. And the money raised will be going to support Montanans for Responsible Legislation. You know, they're going to be lobbying to veto SB 423, also to support patient rights, and you know, in general, just to talk about how cannabis is a good industry revenue and gives Montanans jobs. And on our paintings here, from counterclockwise from the top, we have a piece by Schwab Ponzone, AJ Auer, Katrina Farnham, Sierra Dornfeld, Mandy Moonbird, and Caspian Ashby. If you're interested in learning more about vetoing SB 423, you can call 406-444-3111 or email governor@montana.gov and talk to Governor Schweitzer about why you'd like to veto 423. And if you'd like to learn about raising money through bidding on one of these art pieces, you can visit Zoo Mountain Natural Care and Garden Mother Herbs, those are the folks that put on the original art walk, and these will be hanging in the hallway in that building. It's off Front and Orange Street, the big green building. And we'll be closing the silent auction at the beginning of the next art walk, coming up here in May.
All right, well that's great. I love that there's so many people involved working to better Montana and you know, get people back to work. And it's great to see all the talent that's here in Missoula. There's so many places with art here, and it's just great to see that artists get involved in so many different avenues. I certainly feel that this is one we're supporting. Support from all of us is what we need. If we don't stand together, we will fall alone.
And on that note, if SB 423 does not get vetoed, it's going to close shop fronts all around Montana. So
right.
please find a way to get involved.
Costing jobs triple-fold. Now you're an artist. Are any of these paintings specifically your work?
The one in the middle on the bottom is mine. It's called Not a Cairn in the World. But all these paintings were made by lovely friends of mine that all came together to contribute their artistic talents for this movement. And we're all very excited, and this is just one small way that we felt as artists in the community that we could contribute.
All right, Sierra, thank you so much for being here and bringing this to our attention, and all this beautiful art. It's great to have you here. So folks, get on down there and check all this beautiful art out, and let them know it's hanging down at Zoo Mountain Natural Care.
Yep, in the hallway by Garden Mother Herbs as well, and we're going to close our silent auction bids. The deadline is the next first Friday, so come on in and we'll have auction sheets. You can fill it out right there in the hallway.
All right, thank you once again, folks. We're going to give you a quick word from our sponsor, or one of our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll have our own program manager, a card holder, and a former opiate addict on the show speaking with you about what she's been through, how much medical marijuana has helped her, and what it means if it all goes away. And also some great tips for you if these are things that you're suffering through, on how you can beat the opiate addiction and beat the withdrawal. So with that, we're going to go to a word from our sponsors. Stay tuned. We'll see you back in just a second.
AIDS Council would like to invite you to our HIV testing drive on Thursday, April 28th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. to celebrate National STD Awareness Month.
The testing drive will take place at our downtown office, located at 500 North Higgins, across from the Iron Horse.
As a thank you to the Missoula community for 25 years of support, each person tested will receive a safe sex toolkit.
Come in for a free, rapid, and anonymous HIV test, Thursday, April 28th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
There is only one way to take control of your sexual health. Know yourself, know your status.
Welcome back, folks. I want to introduce Cherie Ransom. She's here to tell you about some of the trouble she's been through. Welcome, Cherie. Thanks for coming to the show and coming out here because normally you're hiding in the back doing so much work for us.
Yeah, I do great work.
So tell us, where you've been, what you've been through.
Well, where do I start? About 15 years ago, I had a desk job. I sat for extended periods of time, and it started out with, I just got to the point where I couldn't take the back pain, the spasms. I went to the doctor, and I didn't at that point even like taking Tylenol, much less did I want to be put on some kind of pharmaceutical through the drug companies, and they had started me out on a very low dose opiate, and I adjusted to it. It made me tired in the beginning. I didn't care much for the effect, but I had adjusted to it, and I lived that way for years, on a very minimal amount and just getting by. And then my doctor came to me and he said, they've come out with a new drug that is supposed to be less addictive physically, with less side effects. You can take less of it. And that was OxyContin. And all of that was untrue. So
they're doing great things in America with OxyContin.
Yeah, great things. Robbing Walgreens and anyway, that started me on a whole different path. I allowed him to talk me into it because it was once every 12 hours, and I thought, that's pretty cool. I only have to take it twice a day. It's supposed to sustain you, blah, blah, blah. I fed right into it. And that's where the troubles began. And it's funny because I had a career. I owned my own home, and I'd worked very long and hard at the career that I had, and never been in trouble other than your minor traffic ticket, and led a fairly clean and happy, normal lifestyle. It took approximately 6 months from the point of going on OxyContin to the point of addiction, the physical addiction, if I did try to go without taking one. At that point, I wasn't yet looking forward to the next one. I wanted to avoid it still if I could, but I couldn't do it. Every time I would try to go without taking that pill, the physical effects were so horrible that I had to take it whether I was in pain or not. I was forced to take this medication whether I wanted to or not, physically, and it was entrapping. And
for people that don't know, that haven't gone, can you describe some of what a withdrawal from an opiate drug is like?
It is the worst thing I've ever experienced physically ever. There is no sleep. You don't sleep for days, and because your limbs, your body jerks, your muscles jerk, your legs. It's why I believe, call it kicking, is because you have no control over your leg muscles. They'll kick, and of course there are varying degrees. There are people who don't go through this at all. There are other people who go through it mildly, then there are people who go through it very severely.
And is that depending on the length of addiction or dependency on the pills?
I think it can.
Or the amount that you're taking? Or
absolutely can play into it. There are some people, though, that can take just large amounts of it, for chronic pain every day, and that don't go through the withdrawals. I can't sit here and honestly say everybody goes through this, because they don't. there are people who don't go through it. And the sad thing about it is that it puts the doctors too in a position to where they have to be really careful because they're dealing with people, possible addictions that they're feeding, and something had happened with my doctor. I'd had a prescription that was stolen from me, and my doctor's office fired me as a patient. And I had asked them, when I went in for my appointment, and they said, we can't see you any longer because you didn't safeguard your medication. It was taken out of my glove compartment from the point of the doctor's office to my home. So I was trying to safeguard it. I thought it wasn't a safe place. They sent me out into the streets, basically an addict. And
So they gave you nothing to combat the withdrawal that they knew you would have, and just sent you out with no medication.
nothing. Nothing, and in fact,
Is that kind of like what the Republican Congress is doing to us right now? I'm not. Okay, go ahead.
This sounds familiar. So yeah, out in the street, now a drug addict. On the streets, I should say on the streets. I wasn't homeless or anything, but they kicked me out the doors of that clinic, and I was on my own. And the funny thing is I didn't lead that kind of lifestyle, so I didn't really know anybody. It didn't take very long for me to find someone, but as soon as those withdrawals kicked in, first it was the gamut of hospitals in the surrounding areas to try to obtain, because if you walked through the door and were honest with them and said, listen, I'm going through drug withdrawals and I need help, you were looked at like a drug addict, and they wanted nothing to do with you. And it didn't matter your lifestyle, your background, where you came from, what color you were.
Stigmatism is there.
Regardless.
Yeah, all over America. And it's funny, I think over and over we've heard about the deaths. There's a few methamphetamine deaths every year, a dozen or so alcohol-related deaths, generally alcohol and driving. And then there's about 300 pharmaceutical medication deaths every year, I think was the last report I saw. There's a big drive right now to bring that number down and to bring us to the awareness that our children are becoming drug addicts by getting in our medicine cabinets. They don't need to go to the park. They don't need to go to the billiard hall or the bar. They don't got to go to school and buy it from the kid in the locker next door, because they can get it at home. And they don't know what they're taking, and that's why they're dying. When there's something that has so many doses in such a small capsule, a child doesn't know if he's taken 10 milligrams or 500 milligrams. If he's taking something that's for 50 pounds or 250. And that makes a lot of difference. So we're killing America, and we're paying to do it. Big Pharmaceutical is backing all kinds of Congress people, all kinds of people in the Senate and the states. They're getting campaign contributions. Why would they want to support something that is against the people that are paying them? And I understand that. That's why this became an initiative of the people in the first place, because we're trying to beat out Big Pharmaceutical and take care of ourselves. They've been taking care of us and lining their pockets, getting us sicker and sicker by the day. And I don't want to totally knock them. They do a lot of good. There's a lot of stuff out there that people would die if they didn't have. I just think that they don't want to lose all that pain medication that they're selling. There's big money in pain medication, whether it's over the counter or in the black market.
Even the over the counter medications. Now, if you're talking about if that's opiates is a route that you just absolutely refuse to go down, I would like to touch on this real quickly. My ex-mother-in-law refused opiate medication, chronic pain patient, so she took non-steroidal anti-inflammatories such as Aleve, Advil, balanced with Tylenol. She's now in full renal failure. So either way, you go.
Yeah, before I went to medical marijuana, I've met too many people going through opiate addiction, and I know I didn't want that. And so I have bone degeneration in my shoulder, a lower lumbar strain. I was a drywall hanger, so basically I'm in pretty good shape for the shape I'm in. There's nothing that'll beat you up like construction. So I have chronic pain. I have osteoarthritis. I'm old I was old at 30, and now I'm pushing on to 40. So they had me on 1,500 milligrams of acetaminophen and another 1,500 milligrams of the generic of Aleve, and that was 3 grams of chemical product that I had to put into my body every day. One of them damages your liver, and the other damages your kidneys. And I have a friend who's he's been on dialysis since he was 16 years old, and he's about 22, I think 24, and he's dying. And I'm giving him one of my kidneys, or somebody that can some trade deal through their thing where he'll get one. And so I ain't killing my kidneys. I'm not tearing it up when somebody can have life. Now you beat the opiate addiction with the help of a nurse that gave you kind of the right cocktail to get through it. It doesn't stop
Yes.
it, but it helps you get through it. You tell us about that,
Right.
Sheree.
Well, this all landed me in jail eventually.
As it does so many, as it has me.
Yeah, my non-criminal self. I ended
I'll
up
tell
in
you more
jail.
about me and jail later. You'll love this.
So, and I immediately within 24 hours of arriving in jail, the withdrawals started, and I started having seizures. Well, the very first seizure that I had, the nurse she just happened to be standing right there, and she whisked me off to the hospital. And it was interesting because I have been to this hospital so many times, and so many times it was to receive narcotic pain medication, and I had talked a few times with them about coming off of it, and this was never suggested to me. Between this nurse and the doctor there, they put a cocktail together that made the difference. That is absolutely, without a doubt, the reason why I am clean now and off of this stuff. I've been for almost a year. I would have never made it without it. There's just
And
no way.
what was for those of you that are suffering through the same thing, that want to get away from this, and you can take this information to your doctor. Please, I beg you, take this information to your
Yes.
doctors. Tell them, I heard this works. Tell me about it. Will this work for me? And so, what was that? So,
It's a combination of 4 medications. All of them work differently in your system. We are back at the pharmaceutical companies, folks, but this is better.
at least it's a way out.
And it's a way out. It's temporary, and when you're done with it, you're done. You just walk away. And you're done. It's great. So one of them is a blood pressure medication, and this I think is the most significant. It's called Clonidine. That lowers your blood pressure. It takes away that creepy crawly thing that goes on with your legs, and takes your blood pressure down, obviously. Then there's they gave Ativan, which is a benzodiazepine, a very low dose, low on the scale of benzodiazepines. It's very low. That stopped the seizures. And then they gave me something called Phenergan, which is an antiemetic. It stops nausea. And then at night they were giving me Benadryl for sleep.
All right. And I hear like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea,
Oh yeah.
muscle cramps.
You sweat, you're freezing, you're sweating, you smell it. The smell is the worst thing. I can't even begin to tell you.
And this
The
little
pain.
cocktail helps you function normally. There's nothing. You feel nothing. There's no nothing.
I can't say that there is no nothing.
Oh.
There is for me, and you got to understand that everybody's different.
Right. Nobody's gonna.
But for me, and given the severity of the withdrawal that I went through, it took about, I would say, a month of remaining on 2 of those 4 drugs before I was able to come off of them and actually sleep at night and wake up in the morning feeling rested and wake up without the knots and the nausea and so it did take some time.
All right.
But beat the heck out of the cycle that I was in. So
And how long have you been off the pills? Off the, not those necessarily, but off of the opiates now?
for almost a year. It'll be a year in less than a month.
Wow, that's awesome.
It is.
And it's so hard to be. And then there's so many people, you talked with me at least before, about continuing the use
due to the fear of the withdrawal, having gone through it and not wanting to do it again. You'll do just about anything. You wonder why the drugstores have people have signs on the front that say you can't come in wearing a hoodie or a hat or glasses.
Yeah.
It's because there's people just like Cherie that were given medication and then they told that, oh, you're an addict and you can't have it no more. And where are they going to go? And I'm not saying what they do is right. Certainly it's not. But you leave somebody with no choice and feeling like, if not feeling like they're going to die, by God, feeling like they want to.
Well, and if you don't mind me interrupting you.
every woman I've ever met has interrupted
Oh,
me.
good. Good, then I'm no different. That's great. Fantastic. There are two choices that a lot of doctors will try and give a patient getting out of this. One of them is called Suboxone. And the other one is by far more well known. It's called methadone. Methadone alone has killed more people than opiates in the short time that it's been on.
So what they're giving people to not be addicted is killing them rather than and
The methadone is. The Suboxone is not. But here's the clincher to this one, and that is that if you stop taking this medication, just don't want to take it, you will withdraw exactly like if you were coming off of opiates. So to me, I'm just thinking,
So the
what's the difference?
is you're not getting they're getting the money through a different channel.
Yes,
But the same people get their money for the pills.
So
absolutely.
that's good. At least they're still getting rich. That's awesome. So we want to go ahead and open up the phones, and I want to introduce Jason Barkey. He's back again from the MTCHF. I think I got it right this time, Montana Cannabis and Hemp Foundation. He's going to come out. He was going to do this later, I thought, but we'll talk about it here. He's going to talk about lights with us too, and the importance of lighting and timing on your plants. So the phones are open. Give us a call, and we'll let you talk. And I want to apologize for last week. I'm still new, folks, so I wasn't good on the phone and keeping my callers on the line. I promise I won't be near as rude this week. Jason, welcome back to the show. Thanks for coming in today. Now, you got a few things with you down there.
I just brought a couple of the different light bulbs that we use there, the bigger ones. They're 1,000 watts, which suck a lot of juice and produce a lot of heat, but in the growing, your lighting in your environment is exceptionally important. We use like metal halide to begin with. It's a bluer spectrum light, more like spring, because a lot of the lighting that we do is basically we're mimicking Mother Nature. In the spring, your lighting, your spectrum goes pretty much from blues and purples to a red. And in the spring, you have a more blue spectrum light, which promotes growth and a lot more green. And, the early morning or the early growing in the spring, because it's always so green. And as the season progresses, your light spectrum changes as we turn with the earth, and it goes more towards a reddish color, which promotes budding or, the flowering and the harvesting of the plants.
So, your light spectrums are basically in time with the Aurora Borealis. I haven't been when I was there anyway. In early spring, you'll get green lights in the sky.
Yeah, green
and then
and
you'll get multicolor facets in the dark in the winter. You get a multi-spectrum. In the spring, you'll get green, and in the fall, you'll get fiery red. It looks like the fire's on fire. There's nothing so
it
beautiful
is actually really
as the
similar
Aurora
to
Borealis in the fall, and it looks like the entire sky is on fire.
And, also to go with your lighting, your environment, your temperature rating is These lights produce a lot of heat, you know, in producing the spectrums. So you need an adequate ventilation system. And timing is also important because in the spring, you know, I mean, days are obviously getting longer now, we all notice. As the things start to grow, your plants, when the daylight starts to shorten again, is when they start producing flowers or their fruit or whatever. So in the beginning stages, what we call veg, we run our light systems, and I'll just go with ours. We run 18 and 6. We have the lights on for 18 hours and off for 6. So it gives it a longer spectrum for growth. As we go later towards the bud cycle, we drop our lighting to 12 and 12, and that puts the plants in the idea that, you know, the end's coming, winter's here, and they produce their flowers. But we change the bulbs from veg to flower. We go from the blue to the oranges and reds, the yellow, orange, and red, because that's a spectrum of fall.
And veg and flower is the stages of veg is vegetative state, bringing up more leaf, growing the plant out fuller.
Right.
And then flower is
It's just
stopping
where they
the light
produce.
to bring the flower, the bud, out onto the plant, and make it
Right.
grow instead of the plant itself. Switch what's growing, correct?
That's totally correct.
And what's the bulbs you have here for us today? What'd you bring with us to see, Jason?
I brought a 1,000-watt metal halide, and as you can see, it's a fairly large bulb. It fits in a larger reflector. It produces a lot of heat, so your ventilation is real important.
More bigger fans and in and out somewhere to make sure you're getting cool air coming in.
Well, they have some that are just reflectors that don't have any, and you can run your fans behind and, you know,
Right.
go from there. But they also have the reflectors that are enclosed with glass, and they have just its own ventilation system, period. And the air runs right through there, and it tries to help keep, you know, and you pump it out, but it helps keep your environment intact. You can burn your plants real easy with these.
I'll try to bring you the one I have at home, and I'll show you exactly what he's talking about.
In your distance, you know, I mean, you want some distance from the light in your plants too, but you want to kind of direct your light down on your plant. That's what the reflector's for, and it helps, you know, spread out and grow.
And
Your
does it
lighting-
matter really? I mean, because it's Sunday, it's cloudy today. There's still grass out. Things are growing. So I mean, how important is light for your plants?
Well, I know people that have grown plants with, you know, your normal light bulb. I mean, light's important, period. Just like your house plants. You know, they need a certain amount of light. In our industry, we have a big, not really a big greenhouse, but a fairly large one. And our lighting is really important because with the change of lighting and different things in our environment, it will cause them to hermaphrodite or turn male, which you don't want. One male plant can ruin an entire greenhouse because pretty much in flower, it's a whole bunch of females looking to have babies. And one male, and all it takes is one male to ruin an entire greenhouse. So you don't want to shock your plants. You don't want to change things too much, too drastically. It's real important. In veg is where we do all of our trimming and, you know, getting our plants to come out. But once we put them into the bud cycle, you really don't want to play with them too much, because if you shock them, your chances of it hermaphroditing, which is male and female, or sometimes just going straight male, increases drastically. It's real important to maintain your environment, your temperature areas, your humidity, your airflow, because like in any garden or anything else, we also have insects, different types of molds to grow if you don't have the proper ventilation or I guess what I'm trying to say is your ventilation and your lighting are very important, but your temperature also is too. You don't want them to get too hot. You don't want to get too cold. You don't want your environment to be too humid or not humid enough. Because if it's too dry, then they just dry out and they suck a lot more water. You have to pay attention. If it's too humid, you run into the problems of different types of funguses and molds that can grow.
So what's the difference? What you got one more there too? What's that one? That's,
This is the high pressure sodium, and it puts out the more reddish spectrum. And
So you
this is
want to
what we
switch
use for
between.
flower.
So you want to switch, like the other one's good for vegetation, the last one, and this one's best for when you're making the buds come out and get
Right.
big and sticky.
A lot of you have big
Cannabis
ballast.
come out and become medical, if you will,
What's that?
or the cannabis to come out of the plant and become medical,
Right.
instead of good sticky bud. They call it what they
with
want.
these
folks.
being
It's,
big, most of the
medical.
ballast that you buy, you can switch your ballast between metal halide and high pressure sodium because it takes a different electrical.
I see. Now, and I noticed that those, like, you just take a hammer and punch real hard in your light socket, or is there something, you got to buy something special to put that special bulb in, it looks like?
No, actually, the lights, they're interchangeable generally. Into your
With like,
socket.
so I can just put a plant in my sink, let's say, and screw one of those bulbs into the little deal
Oh
over my
no,
kitchen
these,
sink.
these actually have special ballasts. You can run them 110 or 220, and then there's even a 208 setting, which is considered more economical. But they suck a lot of juice. Your power bill will go up drastically in using these. There's another kind that they have that's T5, and it's more fluorescent, has a bunch of little bulbs in direct, and they run about 400 watts. They don't suck as much juice, and they're more spectrum towards the blue for growing. I know people that have just used a bluer spectrum, and it takes a little bit longer for your plants to flower with them, but I mean, you don't need the specialized bulbs or to change from the blue spectrum to the red. Some people will argue that, but it's just a difference in your plants, and it takes a little bit more time. But
Now-
your lighting is very important.
There was another bulb, we were talking about T5.
Right, the T5, it's...
Did you have that here? Or is,
No, I
Did you
forgot
couldn't find
to bring it.
No. Could somebody come out and behind door number 2, there's a long fluorescent bulb sitting back here. If somebody could just bring that out to Jason,
Oh, nice.
and so we can let the viewers see it. And so,
Surprise,
and
surprise.
what's the difference between, now it's a fluorescent bulb, right? I mean, is that like the same as a fluorescent bulb in our shop, or?
Well, the different fluorescents, you can buy them with, okay, this is out of a T5, and it's just a tiny little fluorescent bulb, but it's the spectrum of the light that it puts out, and you can buy them in your local hardware stores, or sometimes Walmart, or any of your big box stores. Generally, your T5s you'll find more in your local greenhouse stores, but it's the spectrum that's important. Like I said, you can grow with pretty much any spectrum of light. The blue tends to add to the more fullness and better growth, but like I said, I know people that have done it with just your regular fluorescents too. The more experienced growers have a tendency to switch lights. They go, for our vegetative state, we use the more blue, and when we go into flower, we switch to the more redder spectrum, and it helps on the harvest and the yield for that. But they're expensive. Your lightings are exceptionally expensive.
Now, and this like these big bulbs in our earlier discussions, you said, I mean, does it matter 1,000 watt or 100 watt? You know what I mean? Can I get a 400 watt sodium or metal halide or 600 and get the same effect out of my plant? You know what I mean? What's the difference in the numbers, I guess, in the wattage and the lighting? And will one of these bulbs equal the same as these big giant bulbs?
No, a T5 is a set, and I think there's 13 or 14 of them in there. Don't count me on the numbers.
Oh, so it's generally
Of
not just a
these,
single bulb.
It's not a single bulb. It's a grouping of them, and they have little reflectors in them to help spread the light. Your standard T5s are about 400 watts, and which is less than half of what either of these other two bulbs that I have are. Your environment and what you have, it definitely does make a difference. If you have a lot more, well, take us in California. We don't get this, our environment's different, we get different sunlight, so when we grow things, it doesn't grow as well here as there because they get more sunlight, they have, things are different. The more light you grow, the bigger, you use, the bigger your plants will be. Your yield's going to be better with bigger lights. They're also not necessarily cost effective for your smaller grower at home. A lot of the patients try to grow their own, and they can't afford the extra $30 a month that these big lights would go.
Okay. Now, we're starting to run a little short on time, so let me just go over a couple little things. Now, you also have another little device that's pretty important.
Well, your timer,
And
and you can get these local hardware store. They even have them at your.
And that just gives you a light balance on how long you want to have them on and off, right? So
Your-
you can
yeah,
plug
your
it
lights.
into there, and it'll turn on and off.
It'll turn on and off, and it helps you not having to remember that 7 o'clock in the morning that you need to turn your lights on, and say 10 o'clock at night or whatever, however your
Right.
cycle's going to go. With your timer, with just taking care of your plants and watering and giving them the nutrients, you want to keep your lighting consistent. The earth rotates and it's consistent. Sun comes up, goes down, consistent. With your plants, you want to treat them the same way because you can throw them into shock by changing your lighting systems all the
All right.
time.
Okay, well, we better wrap this up, and I guess we didn't have our number up, but we did want to hear from you. So we'll get that information up there sooner next week. We want your calls. We want your questions. We want to be here to help you. And if anybody
There's
has
this
something
number.
quick they want to ask either Cherie or Jason before we moved on, and Tiffany shows us how to make cannabis butter. That's going to be our next bit here. Has anybody got anything they want to ask? No? Okay. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and stay tuned because we're going to go to a quick word from public service announcements for some people that support us in the community. And after, hopefully, we take this one call. You're on the air with Growing Green. Who we got, caller? Okay, I think that's bad. Sounded bad. Okay, phone bad, cast good. We'll get back to calls next week, folks. I want to make sure you know how to make this cannabis butter. This is going to be exciting. We're going to go to a quick word from our sponsors, and we'll come back with Tiffany and her assistant from Tiffany's Treats, and show you how to make cannabis butter. Stay tuned. Come on back.
It's your community. It's your TV. And it's your community access station. MCAT, Missoula Community Access Television. TV by you, for you.
Hi, I'm Tiffany with Tiffany's Treats. Thanks for coming back again this week. Today we're going to be making cannabis butter. This is Chantel. She's going to be my partner and helping us today. Thanks for joining in.
Thank you.
So today to make cannabis butter, I'm going to go over a couple of things that you're going to need. You're going to need a crock pot for even heating. You're going to need an ounce of cannabis, about a cup of water, a pound of butter, a strainer. I like to use a pillow cloth. It makes for easier handling if you cut it to a smaller size. And then I just set it inside the strainer like this for later use. So let's get to making some butter. So into the crock pot, we're gonna put an ounce of cannabis. And then I just like to put enough water to just over moisten the cannabis. I don't like to put too much water in. It makes it a little bit harder when you're trying to separate it. So I put enough water into the cannabis to just get it quite moist so that it also absorbs the water before it absorbs the butter. So we're gonna get the cannabis mixed in, and I'm gonna talk about why butter is good. Butter is good because it's versatile in almost all ingredients. You can have it with your steak, you can have it on your toast in the morning, you can have it with lunch, eating cannabis is really important, not just smoking cannabis. I mean, it does a lot of good to our body to ingest it, and does a lot of beneficial things. If you have ailments that you're in a lot of pain or other things, you should definitely look it up on the internet and find out how cannabis can help you by ingesting it. So after the water's put into the crock pot, we're also going to add the butter. And I like to bring it up to a boil on high, so I put the lid on it as soon as I put the butter in to keep the heat into the crock pot. And then after it gets to a melted stage, I mix it, leave it on high for about 2 hours. And I like to make my butter before I go to bed at night. It's better than, sitting around waiting for it all day. I like to get up in the morning, take it out from the heat, have a cup of coffee, and then deal with the butter. So it's good to let it cook overnight, because then we are making sure we get all the cannabinoids out of the cannabis itself, and then putting it into the butter. So we have a crock pot over here that has been cooking overnight. And Chantel, if you want to help lean out this. And I like to let it gets very hot, so I like to let it sit but still be a liquid. So we put out the pillowcase and we dump the butter and cannabis into the pillowcase. Make sure you got all that good stuff out of there. There you go. Thank you, Chantel. And you put it out of the way. I like to use a muffin cup after you're done for easy distribution of the cannabis. Each muffin cup holds about a half a cup of butter, which really makes, you can pop them out after they're frozen, put it into the freezer, know exactly how much butter you're gonna have, and it makes easier handling. So Chantel is wringing out all the butter in the cannabis. You wanna make sure that you really work with it, all that goodness is in there, and really working on getting it out is important. So use muscles.
I always have my husband come in and help strain. He's got the muscles.
It's better. She's way better than I am. Making butter is a messy job. So it looks like we're pretty much done. You can set that in the crock pot back over here and get your hands wiped up. And then I do like to have this here in case you drop it, so you don't drop it right back into your butter. I put the strainer in there, or if it gets pretty hot, you can drop it down without dropping your pillowcase back into the butter and going backwards. So we're gonna move this out into the back. And then we're gonna take the butter. Thank you. And we're gonna pour it into here. And I don't have a freezer, but when it comes out, it'll come out just like little perfect muffins.
Yeah, and there might be a little bit of water in the bottom, but you can discard that, and then you have a perfectly formed butter pad.
So next week, when you tune in, we're gonna use this butter and we're gonna make some Chex Mix. So if you make butter this week, go ahead and put it in the freezer and it'll stay good till next week, and next week we can make Chex Mix. So I'm gonna just straighten this up. And this would go right into the refrigerator. You could just get this, or freezer if you have enough room. Today it's gonna go right back here. Next week, Chex Mix. All right.
It's your community. It's your TV. And it's your community access station. MCAT, Missoula Community Access Television. TV by you, for you.
Hey, welcome back. I've really enjoyed our guests. Thank you so much, Tiffany and Chelsea, for being here, and Chantel, I'm sorry, for being here and teaching us so much. I can't wait to learn about the Chex Mix, or the cereal mix we're doing next week. I'm learning more every day. So I want to take a moment, as I will in every show, to complain about what's being done with us or to us. We talked today some about the opiates and the other medications that are out there that people are getting pushed on them and addicted to, and they want to get away from them. And we have a viable alternative. And medical marijuana is a viable alternative, but not if they take it away from 26,000 people that are suffering from chronic pain. That is 26,000 people that can buy OxyContin and fill the pharmacy and the big pharmaceutical pockets. That's 26,000 people that can buy over-the-counter medications and abuse their liver and kidneys with them. Or it's 26,000 people that can use a fairly benign drug. The big side effect is you feel good, and that's horrible. Having to feel good. So it bothers me. You know, I'd sure like to know, and I don't have this information. Maybe somebody out there, one of you can find out and get back to us at our website, on our blog, or email us at growinggreen at Bresno, growinggreen420, growinggreen420 .webs.net.com. I gotta quit doing this. I had it wrote down, but it doesn't seem to be popping up on the show deal. You can email us at growinggreen@bresnan.net, and we'll get back to you with any questions you weren't able to call in and get to today. I will try to bring those in and let everybody know what they are. And there's a couple names. Someone's bringing me a list right now with a couple names of some folks that I want you to know about. And this stuff should be on the computer. Got the other one to pop up this information. Here, right now we're facing whether or not it's gone through the House and the Senate. We're waiting for that to happen on Senate Bill 423. The Democratic side of the House doesn't have the room to stop it. So what's going to happen with that is it'll go to the governor, and he'll veto it or not. And so we want people to get a hold of the governor, like Sierra was asking us earlier, and let him know that that's not something that we want or need. And this committee that they put together was a bipartisan committee. So that's because there was 2 Democrats on it that were helping write the bill that's going to take away jobs, economy, suffering, and help. I mean, Missoula is one of the hardest hit places in Montana with jobs right now because of the mill closing. That was a hard blow for us, and this has put a breath of life. This industry has put a breath of life back in the economy. So 2 people helped write that. 2 Democrats were helping to write that. They were, make sure I say the names right. I wouldn't want to get this wrong for you at all. First one is their addresses on the computer. You got their names up for me? Can you pop that on the screen? We got that? All right, these are our Missoula senators, folks. These are the people we elected to represent us, and they're the ones that are helping take everything away from us. So that's Diane Sands, and you can get a hold of her, and Cliff Larson. They're there to help you. You voted for them. You said, we want you to represent us, and the way they represented us is by taking away our jobs and our medication and making sure that there's no money for anybody in town. That's what they want to do. They want to take all the money out of this industry, take all these jobs away from everybody. There they are for you. Give them a call, give them an email, let them know that you appreciate what they're doing for you because you voted for them. So after that, my next little thing is once upon a time I was a poet and didn't know it. So I want to read a little something for you I wrote. And I promised you I'd tell you more about me in jail. So let me tell you my story. I've probably used marijuana since I was 9 years old. I had some GIs on an army base where I was a child. Introduced it to me when I used to go around and shine shoes for extra change, and they started giving me marijuana because it was funny to see a kid get high. I guess that's the government. It's the government's fault. I was on a military base. It's their fault. I became an addict. From there, things progressed, I guess, through life. I got a back injury, and wasn't able to do the construction work I did anymore. And because I was on a side kind of job when it happened, Labor and Industries said that I couldn't get any help from them. So I couldn't work and I couldn't get any government assistance. And a friend offered me a job being a drug dealer, and I had kids to feed, and that's what I did. So that led me onto one thing, led on to another, and there's no way you can be a drug dealer and lead a normal life and have a family, and all that fell apart. I fell deeper into it, became a meth addict and a meth cook, and ended up going to prison. I spent a lot of time there, 8.5 years total, from beginning to end, including the treatment facilities. I worked tirelessly to help the guys that I was with there and to bring about change. And now I see what they're trying to do out here. If it's not for marijuana, then my other choice is to go back to the doctors and get medication. I can't use ibuprofen no more. I'm giving my kidney away. I'm not going to destroy my liver, so I have marijuana, or I can go back to the doctors and ask for opiates, and I can become an opiate addict like so many of my friends, and I've tried so hard to not do. After prison, I had the boon of medical marijuana to be able to use this for my pain and my suffering. My shoulder still hurts. You know, marijuana dulls the pain. It's not a cure-all. It doesn't stop. My knee still hurts. I wear a brace. I work a graveyard shift at a gas station, and I'm on my feet all night. And I wear a brace on my knee, and I pop my shoulder in and out and hear it crunch, and I eat the pain because I'm just not going to take those pills. And marijuana dulls it enough that I can continue picking up boxes of beer and soda pop and putting them on the shelf where they need to go. So with that, you know a little bit about me. I don't want anybody ever to think that I was somebody I said I wasn't. I'm the producer of this show. My co-producer, Kelly Wallace, is not a criminal like I am. She is a college student and a great person. She had some stuff to take care of today and wasn't able to make it, but she will be back with us next week, so we look forward to that. I have a short poem that I wrote you while I was in prison before I ever knew I'd be involved in this, and still it carries through. So I'm going to read this for you, and this is called Freedom. And after that, we'll do some acknowledgments, and I got a video that I don't think I'm going to have time to show, but it's on how to roll a joint. So I'm going to do my acknowledgments and credits and let everybody know how much I appreciate them, and then after that, we'll go ahead and show that video at least till the end of our time. And then we'll bring it back again next week and make sure everybody gets the whole thing. So let me just get a little splash of something on my throat here, and I'm going to read you a poem. It's called Freedom. Now I give you this little note, which may be more than all I've wrote, of the amendment to the parchment penned by long dead, somewhat forgotten men. The right of the land, my father's pride, where so many more than pilgrims died. In our shame their truth now lost, chains to propagate our cost. Through political masturbation we waste the seeds of freedom's creation. Now the truth is seen no more as we become the belly of the whore. No more land of amber waves, a growing city of living graves. Boxes made of steel and stone, where men have died and children grown. If this land be truly free, why are there so many here like me? How soon it seems they have forgot to whom it was they were begot. And yet it is with pure intent they throw away the lives well spent. Democracy, a cover bare. Congressional republic, they declare. But as corporate money does elect, then I think the word is communist. Trusting all, I'm sorry, I messed that up. But as corporate money does elect, then we are fascists, I suspect. Trusting all to government's behest, I think the word is communist. I see no wrong in a socialist state. Of the poor and the hungry we do not negate, but wrap not the flag of freedom. But wrap it not in the flag of democracy. Freedom cannot be force-fed to me in this old nation newly walled to hide from those that we once called. You're cold, you're tired, you're hungry, give them to me. what happened to this land once free? Must we still spread love through tyranny? Must everybody be like me? Or more to say, I like them, to be accepted, the right cut gem? But I cannot, an odd-shaped stone. My belief in love often lived alone. Though the master's teachings I try to follow, often in my failures I still wallow, casting my net into the sea. Yet no grace does it yield for me. Now indiscernible is the declaration's mess. No life, no liberty, no happiness. Folks, thank you so much for joining. I screwed that up a couple times. Maybe we can get you something better. Again, send us an email at growinggreen@bresnan.net. And if you want a copy of that so you can read how it goes best, and some other stuff I've got, I'd be glad to share whatever I have with you. There's a few people I want to thank, and they can run the credits back there if they want. I want to let you know that next week I have Noel Palmer from Montana Botanical Analysis and Joe from Montana Biotech. They're both traveling over here to do the show and show you some of the scientific end. I appreciate them. Welcome you guys to the show. I know they got some really interesting and great stuff to show you, and some ways to find out how much THC is really in the marijuana that you're buying, or the cannabis that you're buying. I want to give special thanks to Tiffany Jenks from Tiffany's Treats, and Jason Barkey from the Montana Cannabis and Hemp Foundation. I want to apologize to my sponsors because I've had some technical difficulties today, and I thought I had all my video lined up and it fell through. We'll make sure everybody gets taken care of on your. We want to know. I just want you to know that I appreciate your sponsorship, and the Montana Cannabis and Hemp Foundation and Sapphire Services both have done innumerable amounts to be able to bring you this show. Please get a hold of them, and their information is available through our email or on our website, growinggreen420.webs.com. I said it right. All right, so I also want to thank Jason Barkey from the Montana Cannabis and Hemp Foundation. I don't have it on here, so before I forget, I want to thank Heather. Montana Normal is one of our sponsors, and it's because of them we get the help to learn how to do this and bring this to you. So thanks so much to Montana Normal. Next week the week after next, we should have Montanans for Responsible Legislation and a veterans representative here to tell you how they feel and what they want done. The people that have been out there dying for us, this is what they feel that they're fighting for. So we want to welcome them next week. And our production manager, Cherie Ransom, was kind enough to come out and tell us her story today. I want to thank her. The other farmers is the video I had for you that you didn't get to see, but I'll make sure I get that to you. The Montana Cannabis and Hemp Foundation, www.tmchf.org. Get a hold of them to find out more. Sapphire Patient Services at 777-3378 out in Stevensville. They're one of our sponsors, and they're to help you. I want to thank everybody. Phil's in the back showing us how to do stuff and helping immensely. Christian and Joel are here helping us all the time. If it wasn't for the people at MCAT Studios, I couldn't be here doing this. There's none of this I could have done without them, and my heart goes out to them. I thank them all so much. And Shane Knight gave us the tracks that we had, and if I get my video and I can learn how to use a computer between now and then, we're going to have some brand new music from Shane Knight next week. Something never heard before till our show. So thank you, Shane. Check out Bad As They Come on Facebook, or Shane Knight on Facebook or MySpace, and check out the Bad As They Come video. Let them know that you support them for supporting us. And that's, I'm sure I'm still forgetting people. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to give you this video. Tune in next week and find out more. Learn how to make cereal. And join us again. Tune in, folks. Thanks. Have a great day from Growing Green. Here's how to roll a joint. Oh, he's out of time. Oh, we're out of time. So we're not going to see that. We'll bring it to you next week. How to roll a joint next week on the Growing Green Show. I love you, America. Come back.